Equalization will eventually get to the point where the voltage is high, but amperage is very low, like less than 2 amps, and almost no heat is produced. This process may be continued for many hours to get the best results. 2. The battery can have chemical additives like the old VX6 or the modern Charge It or battery equalizer, which are products that have aluminum sulfate or cadmium sulfate in them to cause the sulfation to be removed. I've used alum or aluminum sulfate. The last system for desulfation is using a high-frequency stimulator to remove sulfation from the batteries. Here you can see the infinitum that I have. It's got a red LED light on it, and when the battery voltage gets up above 12, then it turns to green, as you can see. I've had a couple of the $35 desulfonators using high frequency, and my impression is that they have little effect. Others have had good success with them. Initially, if the battery is completely dead and has sat for a long time, I would use a high amperage voltage charge to start it going, and it may take hours to get going. Any reading on the charger showing some amperage is being delivered to the battery is where it's going to be starting to charge. And you can see in this particular case, the charger has started to get up to 10 amps. If it won't take a charge, I would use jumper cables to a good known battery and start the charger charging for 15 minutes and disconnect it and see if it will start charging on its own. Some chargers won't charge a battery it can't see, and often it can't see a battery with less than 4 volts. Once it starts charging, I would lower the amperage setting and let it go for 8 hours or so and see what voltage it will eventually get up to and what the hydrometer readings it gets to for each cell are. I would take my dead battery and charge it up initially to as high as it will go, and then do 2 cycles where I discharged it down to 10 volts and recharged it to get as much of the sulfation converted as possible. After it has been restored to its best possible state through the cycle, the voltage should get to around 12.8 volts, and the hydrometer should get to about 1250. And a testing on the car will show if its capacity is okay or not. I mean, you should be able to start the car easily. You can see the Harbor Freight's fairly accurate. They're both 1691 and 1697. 6 here that was dead as a doornail is that it did not come back to life completely. As you can see, the voltage here is 12.99, which is almost 13. It's been sitting for several days, and it hasn't come down less than that, so that's pretty good. But voltage doesn't mean everything. The hydrometer shows that the level is at just in the green, which is also pretty good. And it tests like that pretty much straight across. But we're going to show you what the cold cranking amp draw is. Okay, here we have the cold cranking amp draw. As you can see, it's close to 13 volts, and when I put the draw on, it goes down to 200. Well, 200 is not going to start a car, ever. So it doesn't matter if the voltage is up at 13, although it just took the surface charge off. But if it'll rest at 13, that doesn't mean anything. If the capacity isn't there, it's not going to start a car. You need about 600 to start the car. So this battery is not coming back. It's come back remarkably, considering it had nothing to start with and it sat for years. It has come back remarkably in that regard, but it did not come back enough to be serviceable as a battery. Battery here is from 04, August of 2004. We're going to load test it, sitting in the pile for a bunch of years. It's running at 12 point, looks like 3 volts, 4 volts, and when I put the tester on it, it's over 600 cold cranking amps. So that's good. This is from 04, this battery here. It's currently at about 12.8. We're going to hit the load tester. You can see that it's running about 800. It's taking some of the surface charge and keeping it on dropping, but it's sticking at about above 600. So that battery's good. So in the last battery in the line there, this one here is from 2000, I think. So you can see it's staying up at, well, it's dropping a little bit, but it's around 600. This is enough to start the car. Okay, and the interstate on the end, number 4 there. I'll load test it. It's dropping. It's just taking some of the surface charge off. But you see it has settled out, and it is still staying at about 900 gold cranking amps. So plenty of juice in that battery. All 4 of these batteries were restored from a junk pile where they'd been sitting for 3 to 5 years, and they're all around 2000, 2002, 2004. They're old batteries that started out life at like 3 or 4 volts, and anywhere from no hydrometer reading to low in the red. And they've all been restored to a battery that will crank a car from using equalization and sometimes Epsom salt and sometimes aluminum sulfate. So it's not impossible to take a battery that has a hard sulfation on it and have it come back to life. Those batteries did not revive.